Welcome back to the Bejeweled podcast, where even in gaming, science still makes sense. I'm Joel, I'm the EpidF121, and all of Pokemon Unbound is finally on my YouTube.
And I am Gyozak, and bears like their honey with pulp.
Gee, that makes sense to me, but not to sure anyone else.
Well, I want to get into the context of that a little bit.
Go ahead while I recover.
Yeah, I have this linked in my notes. So, one of my mutuals on Twitter, Fallkoopa, quote retweeted a tweet. The original tweet says, "Fiction doesn't affect reality. People," with the quotes, "people think bears eat honey, that rabbits like carrots, etc., etc." Fallkoopa quote retweeted that, saying, "I went to check and the reality is somewhat worse," and they posted a screen cap with the title, "How do bears get the honey?" And the response, "You might be wondering how a bear will climb a tree and possibly extract only the honey from a beehive without falling or getting stung by bees. A simple solution? The bear eats the entire hive, including the bees and larvae." And I replied with that, saying, "I guess they like their honey with pulp."
And I replied in very true Trigger fashion, that's not Pulp Fiction.
Ba-dum.
Anyways, pulp aside, even if it's orange juice, finally, we're back with the Bejeweled podcast. It's a new month, it's a new podcast, and today is a interesting episode. Away from the Nintendo Directs, I'm going to be discussing about a game that I finally have finished and played.
Yes.
All the more. Plus some other stuff, including, of course, the most recent trailer that's actually not of a game, but of an interesting movie. We'll talk about that in a moment. If you guys are hyped for more Bejeweled podcasts nonetheless, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for our content if you're new, follow Gyozak on his social handles, and ring that bell to get notified any time upload on this channel. Last podcast on the card up here. Anyways, are we ready?
Yes, let's do it.
As I voice crack, let's go.
Yeah. Don't worry, I've been trying to more deliberately warm up my voice this morning, so.
Hey, it helps when you can speak it with fluency and, of course, some good pitch. Anyway, speaking of a good pitch, the pitch at the start is, of course, as I said before, Super Mario 3D World, because I recently, finally got to play the whole game, and man, even I myself was actually surprised I finished it within a week.
Yeah, it's once you get going, you kind of end up finishing it sooner than you think.
Yeah, I remember posting, for those who have been following my Super Mario 3D World journal on Twitter, you might have noticed that I've been blazing through the worlds. In fact, even though I have not posted it yet, I did finish the game within probably a week or 8 days, I would say. And honestly, I don't know how to feel. It's a game that's so fun that I honestly kept playing a lot, but then again, the replayability, right, even though nice, is quite long all the more.
Yeah, they kind of did a lot of padding, more than they did with 3D Land.
Yeah, 3D Land, for those wondering, the idea of 100%, I believe, is top of the flagpole plus both Mario and Luigi have to play both levels, I think?
Yes, and all star medals as well.
So this is that times 2.5.
Yes, because you have to, in 3D World, you have to complete every stage with all 5 characters.
Oh, ridiculous. But then again, it's like one of those things is where you all of a sudden get, who is it? Rosalina. It's just like, oh, it's so exciting. Because that's the very first time that she gets to be a playable character in a platformer.
Right, yeah. And in fact, wait, no, I think she was in at least Mario Kart 7 as a playable character, so not her completely first playable appearance.
Was she in Mario Kart Wii?
Good question.
I think she is. I remember seeing that in even in some of the ROM hacks of Mario Kart Wii.
That sounds about right, yeah. Yeah. I don't have a wiki at the ready for this, so if you're counting the amount of Googling that happens, this is the first one.
And you also can tell by the clicking of his keyboard.
Yes. Let's see here. Yes. Rosalina is playable in Mario Kart Wii.
So it's like that. This is the very first time that she's a playable character in a platformer, which it's kind of interesting seeing her mechanic, but then again, it makes sense because it's a nice homage to Super Mario Galaxy. Plus, it fits with, of course, her style of play. It's kind of a bummer though that her trademark power-up fades away when she grabs another power-up.
Yeah, that was always just kind of felt weird when I was playing through the game, because it's like that didn't happen with any of the other characters, but with Rosalina, like, yeah, you just end up losing that midair spin if you get any power-up outside of a super mushroom.
But it does beg the question, would it have been broken if she kept it?
I don't think so. Like, especially if you consider Peach's main gimmick, how she can, like, do midair float. Regardless of what power-up Peach has, if you hold down the jump button when you're in midair, she will still float. Why did they change that for Rosalina?
What was the button that you had to press in order to make her spin?
The run button.
Is it the exact same one for power-up?
Yes. So that's probably... That's actually probably the reason why.
So, I mean, let's take a scenario where Nintendo decide, you know what, let's try and implement both at the same time, because you know what, that back then, the Wii U clearly had more buttons than they could have been implemented.
Yeah.
But
well,
let's say, for example, they did put two buttons. They organized two buttons. One for spin for Rosalina and one for the actual like power, which of course is the defaulted as the run button. Would it have been more conducive if they did it that way, but would it have also made Rosalina a lot more easier to use?
Probably. But also, keep in mind, the original game on Wii U, you could play with just a sideways Wii remote. So you had the 1 and 2 buttons. So you would think, oh, only limited to 2 actions.
Oh, that's actually quite true.
But the Wii remote oftentimes had an action assigned to shaking the Wii remote. Could they have not just put spin for Rosalina on shake the Wii remote, like it was on Galaxy?
How about the Pro Controller? Like, those didn't have rumble, right?
The Wii U Pro Controllers?
I believe so.
No, those did not have gyro. You said rumble.
Oh, okay.
But the Wii U Pro Controller has, like, it has all the same buttons as the gamepad, so it's like, you could have mapped it to any other buttons, because you're not stuck with just 2 buttons. You have way more buttons.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird thing that even I myself was thinking to myself, could they have done this a lot easier? I mean, not saying that it's a bad thing, it's just definitely, it brings up the idea of what if she had both her spin and an extra power-up?
Right.
But that's why it just came to my head. I was just thinking, like, could they have made this better? But then again, would have been made sense at the same time.
Yeah, they probably were testing it to see how well it would work, and like, it had to have been on purpose that she lost her spin if you got a power-up. But it's still interesting to think about, like, how would they go about implementing that on the control side, if they had kept her spin move.
That kind of also thinks that, like, what if it's like, I don't know, Fire Flower plus spin? Then literally it would be like it will literally just be like, any character in New Super Mario Bros. U spinning the Wii controller while having the fire flower, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, barring that, I think they could have done that in 3D. It's just that I think they chose not to.
Exactly. Yeah.
But oh well.
For whatever reason, that was their decision.
Kind of always have your cake and eat it, huh?
Right.
Oh well. Away from character design, the one thing that really I appreciated about Super Mario 3D World, as someone who has played Super Mario 2 a lot as a kid, is the fact that the stats pretty much look correct. Mario is all around pretty good. Luigi has the higher jump, but slightly slippery. Very evident when I play Super Mario 2. Toad is a lot faster, but it's very bad jump. And then Peach, of course, has her trademark float. It pretty much mimicked Super Mario 2 stats, and I really like that. The fact that they stood true to that trait.
Yeah, and also I believe Peach runs slowest.
Correct.
Yep.
Her speed in SM2 is 2 out of 5, I believe.
Okay. That's like the one Mario game I haven't played, so...
Oh, you should play, honestly. It's an interesting experience, to say the least. Although, honestly, for the better experience, I would say Super Mario Advance, because that one has the extra mode, which in my opinion makes the game a lot harder than you think.
Okay. I do have a Game Boy Advance emulator at the ready, so I'll just probably do it through there.
Highly recommend, yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go. And then now, okay, I guess now another conversation back to Rosalina. What would her stats be relative to the other characters?
That is a good question. So, I actually have the game loaded up right now. Let me sync up a second controller and kind of test this myself.
Oh, I can say this right now. Thank you to Sonic Geek for playing with me for World 4 and World 5. I found out that Peach's speed mimics Rosalina's speed.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, if you compare both Peach and Rosalina, I'm pretty sure they run the same speed.
Okay. I have Rosalina, so I'll set the other one to Peach.
In terms of jump, maybe a 4, if not a 3, I would say.
Okay. It's a very unscientific test that I'm doing. How should I even do this? This is something that only I'm seeing. I don't have this set up for...
Why not just put the Joy-Cons in front of you on the camera?
Yeah, I'm not even using Joy-Cons. I'm using 2 different Pro controllers.
It's Miyamoto's... not Miyamoto's. It's Sakurai's Nintendo Presents all over again.
Yep. Oh yeah, they have very similar run speed. Okay.
It's like, you know, when he was trying to demonstrate one of the characters, he literally has 2 controllers. He had it with 2 hands.
Yep. That's what I'm basically doing. So, kind of unrelated, but in OBS, you can set your output feed to basically be a virtual camera. And so I was thinking of setting that up. So then if I was doing something like this that was more visual, I could like switch my camera on the fly to be like my capture card.
You could do that, yeah. Maybe that would be an idea for next time.
Yeah. But let's test this again. Yep, very like identical run speed. Okay.
Sounds about right, honestly, with those 2.
So.
What are the other 2 stats? I mean, power we can't say because there's no way to show that. So the only other stat would just be jump.
Yep, which I'm testing that right now. They have identical jump height.
So both 3-star, but with their own quirks.
Yep.
Sounds about right, honestly.
Yeah. So there's
your stat comparison, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. very, very unscientific and no visuals for anyone except for me.
I mean, I know I have got the visual myself, thanks to, for those wondering, I played with Sonic Geek World 4, World 5, and honestly, looking at the running speed, it was like very similar, so like, yeah, it was a good choice for me to choose with that Rosalina with Peach. I was able to compare pretty much on the fly.
Yeah.
So, so back to what I was saying, now onto the levels. I mean, single player wise, I dare say the Super Mario 3D World might beat out Super Mario Galaxy even, in terms of like gameplay wise. Because I feel like, as much as like it's a fast-paced idea, because this is the second time they ever did 3D with a timer. But in my opinion, I feel like they've done it a lot better in Super Mario 3D World compared to Super Mario 3D Land.
Yeah, it feels like, compared to 3D Land, 3D World just feels like there's a lot more going on, and some environments in 3D Land did feel just a touch sparse. That probably just had to do with the fact that it was on the 3DS, and who knows how resource intensive the game was on 3D. Like,
I am losing Jowsek. Hang on, give it guys a moment. My internet looks fine. It might just be Jowsek's internet, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Ooh, uh-oh. That might be his internet on his side. Well, uh-oh. Oh yeah, no, his internet is bad. I'm pretty sure I'm not losing any frames judging from what I'm seeing on my OBS, so that just might be his side. Oh yeah, you know, yeah, he's a still image right now. I think I lost him. Uh-oh. Rep. It's like this lonely now. I'm the only one inside. I mean, back to my conversation, as I hope Jowsek could fix his internet. Oh, what else I want to say? It felt like Super Mario 3D Land had like good ideas for 3D platformer with timer. The only problem is that some things were kind of questionable in terms of execution. Like, for example, killing enemies to get back time. Whilst it was a good idea, the only problem is that, well, it kind of like broke up the idea of speed when it comes to like playing the 3D in 3D environment. Super Mario 3D World, at least you can see the timers when the stopwatches when you can see them. You can collect them and you can make them part of your routing to try and like, well, ensure that you don't fall behind, so to speak. So that's why I would say that that's one of the few reasons why I think Super Mario 3D World has the edge in terms of execution when it comes to a 3D platformer. Meanwhile, I'm gonna hope that Giles, I'll just let this fall for a bit. Oh yeah, no, he's dead. He's completely dead. Look at that. Not sure what happened just now. Oh, I'll let him try to fix this. I'm just gonna, in fact, let me load this. Well, I'll let him reset stuff. He'll drop back the call once he's recovered. But back to my conversation about Super Mario 3D World versus Super Mario 3D Land, for example. Another reason I would say they implemented it well was the fact that the environment didn't seem like... Ooh, how to say this? It didn't seem like I was, like, boxed in, so to speak. Like, no pun intended, the mystery box challenges were very cool. And I think they were implemented a lot better compared to, like, Super Mario 3D Land, where, honestly, they were quite sparse. I think Super Mario 3D World really pinned the tail on the donkey, so to speak, when it came to implementing the mystery box houses effectively at that. Now, of course, I think everyone will still hate the last mystery house, considering how many stars you get, but I won't spoil that for anyone who hasn't played it yet. Although, so to speak, I actually got that on the first try, and I still don't know how. Anyways, so that's why I would say when I look at Super Mario 3D World, I feel like they have implemented the timer in a 3D platformer a lot better compared to Super Mario 3D Land. Now, in terms of an actual 3D platformer compared to some other 3D platformers, that is still up to debate. Because I know there's a group of people who would say 3D World is probably one of the best 3D games ever. But there's still the nostalgia critics that would say 64 was best, Sunshine maybe was best, or even Galaxy or Galaxy 2. I mean, Galaxy 2, of course, still gets against critics for being too linear, but so we could, I wouldn't say omit them, but how to say this? Put them as a minority in terms of competing for the best 3D Mario game. All the more though, in my opinion, I see Super Mario 3D World as being the best one because it didn't feel as though I was struggling with the 3D. Galaxy, I had a bit of trouble now and then when it came to understanding a 3D space, especially when it came to some specific platforming that really kind of stumped me at times. That said, however, 3D World felt a lot easier to handle when it came to the game itself, because I didn't feel as though I was struggling to try and like work my way in a 3D environment. So that's why when I look at Super Mario, 3D World compared to other 3D games, I see it as superior. But of course, that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people are much better, are better with a much open world, like a sandbox type of 3D game like Super Mario Galaxy or even Odyssey. Let's put that into the picture. It still seems like I kind of struggle in a sandbox environment, so that's why I feel like 3D World was the best 3D Mario game for me. That's also but admittedly, that is coming from someone who has finished and loved Sonic Unleashed, which I would say was probably the most open 3D Sonic game of all of them. Actually, wait, no, that might be a lie now that I think about it. I'm just thinking of Sonic Adventure, how open that was. But that might be probably the most open now that I think about it. Sonic Unleashed might be a close second, if not just second. So that's why it felt as though when I was playing Super Mario 3D World, every time when I would play a level, it didn't feel as though I would get stuck at any point, or I feel as though I was uncomfortable in the environment. So that's why, when I look at it, Super Mario 3D World takes the cake for me. That's probably the best of the Mario 3D games. Now, unfortunately, I paused to see if chat has come back. Unfortunately, it looks like it hasn't. Oh, as I say that, ladies and gentlemen, as I say that. Oh, his mic is not there. I assume he probably went downstairs to fix his Ethernet or internet. Which, yeah, looks like it was his side, unfortunately, which is well, I wouldn't say shame, but it definitely is awkward that happened. But there we go, there's your 10 to 15 minutes of me rambling on why I say Super Mario 3D World's the best 3D Mario game for me. Oh, looks like, yeah, he looks like he's smooth. Yeah, he looks 60 frames per second. He looks 60 frames.
Hello?
Yeah, you're back. You're 60 frames.
Cool. So, our internet has sometimes, like, during this past week, has kind of just died occasionally.
Ooh.
So I did just reboot the router and the modem. So
Hurricane, baby?
I'm in the upper part of the US. We don't have hurricanes up here. Very, very rarely do we.
That shows I don't know geography, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, excuse me. You missed my 10 to 15 minute ramble to myself, quote unquote. About why I say Super Mario 3D World is like the best 3D Mario game for me. Like, I quote mostly on, like, if I look at it compared to, like, for example, Galaxy or Odyssey, like, I feel like I struggle more in a sandbox environment compared to a much more confined environment.
I can get that, yeah. Yeah, it's... How exactly would you put that into words is the thing. Probably because the 3D land and 3D World games are kind of more meant to be like the 2D side-scrolling Mario games, linear. That's the word I'm thinking of. Is they're more linear. So you have like a definitive direction that the game is trying to push you towards, as opposed to like the sandbox games where it's like it's more open. So oftentimes you may not have like the best or clearest path forward. So I don't know. I'm just I'm just throwing ideas at the wall.
And hope to God they stick.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, no, continuing on the topic, when I was discussing, like, in terms of, like, okay, I think the one thing that definitely was more implemented in 3D World compared to 3D Land was the mystery houses. Like, those 10-second, like, challenges where you're supposed to get, like, clear something to get a star, or, like, you're supposed to reach an end goal, basically, to get the star. Super Mario 3D World had a more dominant, I think, it had a more, like, of those kind of challenges. In fact, if I do my maths right, I think it encompasses... Hang on. Hang on, let me do the math. I think almost 30% of the stars in the game.
That sounds about right.
Compared to, I think, maybe 7 to 10%. Because I don't think there were any, like, mystery houses in the game. It was mostly just mystery boxes.
Correct. Yeah, in 3D Land, it was just a single one-off 10-second challenge. But 3D World, it strings multiple of those together in one fell swoop.
Yeah. And it felt like those were, like, I mean, more fun, honestly. And more stressful.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot more exciting in 3D World, because if you ran out of time or got killed by an enemy, you had to start at the beginning again.
Fun fact, I actually have not seen the try again message on my save file.
Yeah, it's just like it just brings you back to the start, and it's like, oh, you have to do them all in one fell swoop to get all of the stars. But I think even if you make it partway and back out, you still keep the stars that you did collect.
You also keep the power up if you didn't die.
Yes.
Which I myself find that pretty nice, that I get that kind of mulligan, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But then again, as I said before, I haven't actually gotten that message on my save file.
Yeah. It happened to me a couple times, so yeah, it only happens the first time that you don't quite make it. So. Yeah.
And if for those who know the game and heard me just said that, I think you probably hate me right now that I finished the last box in one try. Trust me, I recorded myself reacting to that right after I did it because I was still stunned in my head.
I think it only took me like 3-4 tries, I'm pretty sure.
Which one was the hardest?
Like, which individual challenge was the hardest?
Out of the 30.
I don't remember.
I feel like there will be I feel like there will be just like that one box that completely stumps someone or like completely gives someone trouble.
Yeah, sorry, I accidentally opened up Steam.
Nah, great job, because there's clearly there's Mario games inside that.
Yes.
Actually, now that I say that, I might actually get Mario Run finally for Switch.
For Switch?
Wait, for
Mario
Switch.
Run?
Excuse me. I meant for on mobile, like the full game in this case.
Yeah. I have it on mobile. I think it's a pretty good mobile adaptation of what a 2D Mario game is, but for essentially a single button controller. Because basically all you do is tap. Like, when you want to jump, when you want to do a thing, you tap.
So innovative, honestly. It still kind of stuns me knowing there's just one button.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
nifty.
And funnily enough, it's probably Nintendo's worst performing mobile game. Well, probably second to Miitomo, maybe? Just in the sense that, like, you have to pay $10 in order to get the full version. It's not, like, free with ads. And so because mobile players are so adverse to spending that much for a full experience, not just a microtransaction, that scared a lot of people away. So then they're like, Mario Kart, $40 for Diddy Kong. So, but Mario Kart Tour has brought in a lot of cash for them, so...
I think there was like the better way. It's like microtransacting, quite literally microtransacting.
Yes.
And then look at where they are in terms of that game, even though honestly it's still not really a good Mario Kart game as I heard from others.
Yeah,
You mentioned last podcast, some people consider the real Mario Kart 9, but you think it isn't.
No, it's not. Like, yeah, they've brought back a lot of tracks from previous games. It has a lot of its own original tracks. A lot of them based off of real-world locations.
Which is nifty, I'll admit.
Yes, but I just don't like the controls. That's my biggest thing, is that it's just not great to control. And it's like, especially now that iOS supports straight up just pairing Joy-Con to your iPhone or iPad, and like if you pair up a pair, it's read as just like a regular controller then. So like, why not add controller support to Mario Kart Tour?
I feel like they might be implementing it soon, I would say, but might give them some time if they are still working out some kinks.
Could be. Could very well be, yeah. Yeah, but in the meanwhile, I tried Mario Kart Tour for a bit once it first released, and then like again a year later. But it's just like, no, I'm done with this. And that's why I'm glad that some of Tour's more original tracks are coming to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe through the Booster Course Pass. So.
Indeed. I share that sentiment, honestly. Especially after I've seen some of the rage posts I've seen on Twitter, where they feel as though like some of the time attacks are extremely unfair.
In Tour?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, I've seen a lot of
really...
posts. It's like, why in the world was I 1 point like away from gold, so to speak?
Oh. Yeah, I never tried those out myself. I didn't even really know that was a thing in Tour, so I guess I learned something.
Anyways, straying away from the Mario Kart Tour side discussions, back to like this main discussion. Another thing that really is cool, and it was, I think, the first time they ever did it, was a ranking system when it came to the in the platformer.
Ranking system. What exactly are you talking about?
Super Mario 3D World, where they did like the first, second, third, fourth, and the crown.
Oh, if you're doing multiplayer. Yeah. It's... I was kind of talking about this when you and I and some other folks were trying out the multiplayer, which, side note, I never got to try out the online multiplayer in the Switch port of 3D World until recently. That was an experience. But it seems like that ranking system, along with the fact that when you go into a level, anyone can just hit a button and randomize everyone's characters. So it's like those things, and also being able to easily grab other people, it's like, it feels like that they were subtly making it to where it's just so easy to mess with the other players, and it's like there's ultimately no real big consequence, because it's like it's not a big deal. It's more so just like, yeah, you're just messing with the other players.
It's just a haha,
So-
it's funny.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it definitely has its own charm. I mean, it's the only game that has ever done this in the only platforming game that has ever done it. And then, at the same time, it just makes for some interesting, well, not only gameplay, but also commentary when you see other people play it.
yeah. Yeah. Especially whatever that level was that we were playing with the, like, switchboard that goes left and right depending on where you're standing. Because
Oh
it's-
yeah, 3-7, Switchboard Falls.
Yeah, whichever side has the larger amount of players is the side that goes. And so if you have the same amount of players on both sides, it's just not gonna go.
Yeah, let's just say we did World 3 with 4 players, and I think I'm not too sure about for you, Jose, but I think I was dying after that level.
Nah. I mean, I kept just accidentally dying because I kept falling off of the.
Yeah, it his
Falling into the
words. It his words when he compared when he was talking about the internet connection in Super Mario 3D World. To put it in caveman term, Splat 3 online good, Mario 3D World
Yes.
different.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, before. Like, as I was waiting, for us to get into a voice call to start the multiplayer, I was playing Splatoon 3 Salmon Run. And it's like going from Splatoon 3, where it's like the internet for a Nintendo game, pretty darn good. Especially now that it's been patched, pretty darn good. Then to this game, where sometimes it is a PowerPoint. A little bit.
I mean, it's I wouldn't say PowerPoint, but
That's
It
why I
definitely
say
sti-
a little bit.
it definitely still felt smooth enough. Let's put it.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't say it's smooth, but it's just smooth enough where it's still playable. And honestly, even with the first few stages, even the later stages, say when we were playing, it still felt playable, even though we definitely had our troll moments.
Yeah, it definitely playable. It's just there was very obvious input delay and all that, so you had to like compensate for that, which, depending on just how adaptable you are, could hamper the experience.
As someone who
Yeah,
has
yeah,
played Super Mario, like, no, Mario Party Superstars, and you know when the online sometimes has a bit of lag? I actually have trained myself to compensate for that lag, and honestly, it was a boon, like, training myself to do that, and it actually kind of helped a lot when it came to playing Super Mario 3D World as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Mario Party Superstars Online is also pretty good. Like, especially just for the main board game section, like, it feels like it should not be this smooth, but, like, it was probably developed with online in mind from the get-go, so they were able to develop things in a certain way to where it could compensate for, online connection variability. But for some of the mini games, yeah, that's it. They probably had to be coded differently to compensate for online connection variability. So,
I think on the amount of effort they had to do, and like, jeez.
yeah. Yeah.
But online, honestly, I think was better than I think most of us expected. And I mean, let's be honest. I think our first reaction to that was just like, oh no, knowing that the internet was not that great with Nintendo Switch Online. But then again, as soon as we play, it's just like, it's a passing grade.
Yeah. Yeah, like once we all got into a lobby and we were at the character select, in the lower left it's like the connection environment is unstable or something along those lines.
Oh, even though it's not technically unstable at times, it actually is somewhat okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
let's
more of a
see.
scare or anything sometimes for me, because like it says it's unstable, but then when I play, it's just like, still manageable. No, like it's not like, as you mentioned, a PowerPoint presentation.
Right. Yeah, it's very much still usable. But yeah, it's still just, for some people, it's not going to be a fun time if you can't compensate for a little bit of input delay.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, it probably helped for me in the sense that, like, I have a Ethernet adapter for my Switch that I use when playing online games, so maybe things would be a bit different if all of us were on Ethernet. But
sorry,
for some people that's not exactly feasible. I use a set of powerline adapters to just easily connect all my stuff to Ethernet. Basically, for those who don't know, powerline adapters use the electrical wiring in your house to basically serve as like a big Ethernet cable. It sends the information just through the same electrical wiring at a different frequency than the just regular power does, so it doesn't interfere. And then here in my room, I have the powerline adapter split into an Ethernet switch that then I have another cable connected to that switch that goes to my laptop for the internet for that, and then another cable that then goes into an Ethernet adapter that then plugs into my Switch dock. So that's how I get Ethernet for all of my stuff here. I was thinking about it, and honestly, where I'm positioned right now, it's pretty darn close to where the wireless router is. So I've almost been thinking, like, could I feasibly just do a direct wired connection, like drill some sort of hole in the floor here in my room that then travels along the ceiling of the basement and then goes back up into the living room where our wireless router is, and have it just be that direct connection instead of going through the home's electrical wiring.
Possible?
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it would be feasible. I would just have to talk about that with my parents, because I have not brought up that with them, and it's like, before I drill any holes, I would want to make sure that they would be fine with it, and maybe even have my dad help out with that a bit. So yeah. Anyways.
Nah, it's fine. Let me think, what else I want to say about 3D World? Story plot? I mean, fairies out of nowhere, but then again, it makes sense. It's like it's a new kingdom from a clear pipe, which I think is... Was that the very first time they did clear pipes? Besides Super Mario 3D Land?
Yes. Well, this game was the game that introduced clear pipes.
Oh wait, it wasn't in Super Mario 3D Land?
Nope. Not in that game.
Huh, I thought they did. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
3D World is the game that they made their debut.
No, yeah, I just realized the ending part of Super Mario 3D Land was on a elevator, quote, not a pipe. I just realized.
Correct.
Yes. That makes sense now. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, clear pipe, a new kingdom makes a lot of sense. And then I think the big thing that I think shocked everyone when they first saw it, Meowser.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I first saw it through, oh boy, I think it was PK Sparks? PK Sparks' Let's Play? Yes, PK Sparks' Let's Play of Super Mario 3D World. That shocked even me. I was like, wait a second, Bowser can use power-ups?
Yeah.
Because technically it's the very first time he's ever done that.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
And if you look at the progression of other characters other than Mario and Luigi using power-ups, actually also Toad, we had Peach using the Tanuki suit in Super Mario 3D Land, the final picture. We have Bowser using a cat, Cherry, and Tanuki at the same time in the final boss of Super Mario 3D World.
Right, yeah.
And then everything else, I think you could just say Cappy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's just Cappy.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, and it's like, yeah, I don't think there's been any other main series Mario game where Bowser has used a power-up.
And now my mind literally went to so Cappy.
Yep.
Sorry, Tim.
Cappy Halloween.
Oh my god. It is coming up. It is coming. We're in the month of October.
Yep.
Oh, jeez. And for those wondering, I still have nothing planned. I actually had an idea, which unfortunately went out the window when I found out that the game involved is only available on PS4.
Ah.
But anyways, yeah, that was a big surprise. Rosalina being playable character, of course, that was a big surprise. Champions World, man. I'm not too sure if that's. I haven't played Super Mario Galaxy 2, so I can't really gauge on whether that is harder than the Perfect Run.
Right.
But then again,
Right,
Perfect Run involves you clearing a level without taking a hit, and it's probably one of the hardest levels to play.
Yes. I've only played a little bit of Galaxy 2 myself, so I haven't ever gotten the chance to try whatever it is called in
The Perfect
Galaxy
Run.
2. Yeah. So yeah, I can't say for certain myself, but I've heard horror stories. Well, not horror stories, but just people not having a good time, especially, yeah, with not being able to take any damage.
Commander 456 did it in 11 tries. PK Sparks, admittedly, he said he did not clear it all in his first playthrough, and he did it live on YouTube, but he somehow did it in 5 tries on his last life.
Wow.
Which was probably one of the most epic things on YouTube, honestly, on his channel.
Even though in, like, every Mario game that isn't, like, the ones on NES, lives really don't matter.
I mean, I remember that day when I saw the live stream. I was shocked to see that you start with 5 lives. I was like, bruh, aren't you gonna grind? Goes into his last life and finishes the level. I'm just like, oh my goodness, this guy's a legend. It just felt crazy, but back to the conversation at hand, I'm not too sure if it is like harder than the Perfect Run, but definitely felt challenging for me. I think it came in as Peach with the cat suit and a Tanuki in the spare slot. And honestly, the combination of Tanuki and the float really helped with that last section, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, the Tanuki suit, in general, can be way more advantageous to use instead of the cat suit. That's when I was playing through the game myself. My setup that I tried to maintain as best as I could was the power-up on the character I was playing as, Tanuki suit, and in my reserve was a cat bell.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I had the
Tanuki suit
I
is
mean,
just way better.
Wait, why do you use the Tanuki suit first? Just wondering. Like, what section are you trying to clear quickly?
Well, just in general, because you can, like, when you jump, you hold down the button, and no matter what character you're playing as, you just float for as long as you're holding down the button. So,
okay.
yeah, that just makes platforming in general just way easier. So that's why I did the mixture setup.
I remember bringing the cat suit because it allowed me to skip a certain section which I still can't remember my head around, bouncing on the Buzzy Beetles.
Okay, yeah.
But that one I can skip like half of it and then just leave the jumping to the minimize the jumping required.
Right. And for those of you who want an easy way to get Tanuki suit, World 5-5. It has 2.
I'm trying to remember which one we're talking about.
Bob-ombs below.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Beside the most dastardly level ever when it comes to multiplayer. Nice segue, by the way. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
I do not.
Kick, walk, flip.
Oh, yeah, where you jump and all the panels flip.
Even in 2-player, when I was playing Sonic Geek, we still had a fun time. Let's just say that.
I bet, yeah.
Because here's the thing, I mean, for those who have seen TRG's Let's Play of Super Mario 3D World, 4-player kick, walk, flip is no kick, walk.
Right. You have to be pretty darn coordinated.
Plus, with everyone, even when there's no lag, with everyone jumping at the same time, the flip panels go chaotic. They go berserk.
Yes.
And it's to the point where honestly it's so hard to react. Now take that plus lag.
Yeah.
I'll let you make up anything with your imagination how difficult that could be.
Right. It's like 4 people on a video call. They're all trying to say something at the same time, but their connections aren't perfect, so you're just hearing a bunch of, like, garbled nonsense.
Jump! No, please don't jump! No, jump!
Yep.
Exactly that. Like, even when you see that it's not being online, like if it's local, you can see how many times Sugar Conroy at one point almost died because of flipping panels, kept saving him and not saving him. I think I counted like 5 in 6 seconds.
Yeah.
I think I think I mentioned the commentary. It's just like, no, please, oh, thank you. No, please jump. Okay, thank you. No.
Yeah. That's a playthrough I should go back and watch again. Both just to watch it again, but also for no context chugga.
Yeah, if you're wondering, I actually might link it into the description of this video. But Joystick does own another Twitter panel called No Context Chugga, so it's anything Chugga Conroy, but out of context.
Yes. And I'm kind of inconsistent with running it because it's not like my main focus. So it's like if I don't have time for it, I don't stress about it. But I'm like, I've gone through the majority of Splatoon 2, so I should just go and finish watching that.
Oh. Yeah, man, I mean, even with this consistency, it hasn't stopped other people quoting it. Shouts to the This Only podcast. Yes. Because, if I'm not mistaken, Tom Fox did mention about the TRG no context, but also mentioned about no Chugga context. Yeah. And, like, over time, just for fun, I have searched on Twitter if there are any other, like, no context Chugga accounts. At one point there was one, but I think they just stopped. Another one realized that there was the account that I was running that had that was established well before and already had a following, and they're like, hey, like, should we keep both of these accounts going, or should I stop my account? And it's like we both kind of mutually agreed that, like, because the account that I was running was already pre-established and had somewhat of a following, that it's like, yeah, we'll just keep this account that I'm running going. So it's like I knew for sure that, like, Tom was talking about the account that I was running, and it's like, oh I mean, it was bound to happen that, like, Emil especially would catch wind of the account. But it's like, it wasn't until that recording that, like, he didn't know about the account's existence until Tom mentioned it. Because Emil was like, oh shoot, sorry, I should have known about this sooner. And it's like, Emil, you're good.
You're good. Like, one reason why, I never, like, have even attempted to contact Emil about it was just to see how long I could run the account just without him knowing.
Well, that day was that day.
Yeah, whenever it is that they recorded that board of Mario Party Superstars with Tom, it had to have been somewhat recently because like they just do that over the internet, so they could just do that whenever.
I feel
So yeah.
Okay, this could sound cheeky, but I might ask Tim to look up his Mario Party Superstars account. Go to Woody Woods, I believe that was the stage. Wait, no, Yoshi's Tropical Island, and see the date in which his last Yoshi's Tropical Island board was, so I can see the when they did it.
Yeah.
Because technically, in Mario Party Superstar, they do show the date in which you did the party at.
Yes. That's assuming he hasn't done another full playthrough of that board at any point. But wait. I'm pretty sure because Emil and Tim Tim has been living with Emil, and the two of them, when they've been doing these recordings, have been doing it on Emil's Switch because they're both on Emil's Switch, and then John is in Canada playing on his own system, and whatever guest is playing on their own system. So you'd have to ask Emil.
Yeah.
Or John or Tom. So.
By the way, I'd like to point out something. Tomorrow will be the finale of the Spaceland board. Let's point this out. There's only 1.5 turns left. What kind of chaos will happen on the last turn?
I have no idea. I've been meaning to watch those boards because when I watch stuff that includes a meal, now that I run this account, I basically have to watch any videos with a meal in a particular way, where I have to be here at my computer with OBS up, so then if Emil says anything, I rewind 10 or 20 seconds, start a recording on OBS, let it play so then the screen cap gets it, then I stop the recording, and then I have to make all the trim down all the clips in DaVinci Resolve and set them as all their own clips and schedule them all as their own Twitter posts. It's a whole thing.
I mean, that's dedication right there. I applaud you on that.
Thank you. Yeah. With the particular way that I like to do things, it is more than just I watch the clips and I record the footage. It's a whole lot more than just that.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, to close off my my standpoint, yeah, Super Mario 3D World, I would say the best 3D Mario game I played thus far. Definitely feel more comfortable with it compared to other Mario games. Definitely has its better characteristics compared to 3D Land. That it's as though they learned a lot from their first try of a timed 3D platformer. And again, has there ever been any other 3D timed platformer?
Outside of 3D Land and 3D World, no.
Everything's just been, yeah. Because, just for those wondering, we're not counting any platformer that involves certain times of timed platforming. So for example, let's take for example, let's take a what could I say? I guess some of the boost stages in Super Mario Galaxy, those were timed, but we're not talking about those. We're talking about a full-fledged game where every single thing is timed and it's a 3D platformer.
Correct.
So I don't think there's ever been one besides those two.
Right. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I'll be interested to hear what you think about excuse me, when you get around to the Mario Odyssey, because I know you have a copy of that, but you just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Not at all. I've been more so playing Golf Story, and I might as well just clarify something right now. For those who have been wondering why I have not been posting anything about Ghost Story the past few weeks, that's because for some reason, I can take screenshots of Ghost Story. I can't take videos of Ghost Story.
Yeah, some Switch games don't let you record clips.
So unfortunately, I could not record the hole-in-one that I got on a par 4.
Oh.
Yeah, I got a albatross.
Oh, wow.
I got an albatross on the first course after like going to the first 2 areas. I think I'm almost done with the game, admittedly. I think. I'm not too sure, but it feels as though I'm quite close to the end, if I remember the game correctly compared to where Proton John was. But I will have to check that, because admittedly that's just a rough estimate, and out of memory.
Right. But yeah, Mario Odyssey, but also, Bowser's Fury, that's on, part of 3D World.
Yeah.
Honestly, Bowser's Fury, you can 100% that in a weekend. So.
I'll save that for after I do, I'll save that for after I finish Odyssey, honestly.
Yeah, just food for thought.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's on probably my favorite 3D Mario.
Ooh. Well,
like, it could go on a whole other discussion, but I would have to think about it further and like jot down some notes, but like it's just short, bite-sized, but it is always just very enjoyable, I've found.
But there is something
really,
you did oh, sorry, go ahead.
There's really no like bad sections of Bowser's Fury. If you're going for 100%. And it's like every other 3D Mario game has some little thing about it that just can put a damper on the experience, like Mario 64, the 100 coin missions, Sunshine, the blue coins.
We don't need to discuss about that.
Right. Galaxy, I guess if you're going for 100%, having to play through the whole game again as a different character. Like, little things like that can make or break the experience of 100%ing the game for some people. Bowser's Fury really doesn't. Like, it's pretty darn, like, focused on just being fun.
Being fun.
Yeah. So.
Something that we all strive to do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I know something that you have done extensive research on, and that's gonna be your topic, if I'm not mistaken, because I actually don't want mine.
Yes, I was about to say, it is 11. Bathroom break.
No worries, no worries. I can fill in some other stuff, because I have a lot to say in terms of my channel.
Okay.
Definitely gonna be doing all these timestamps once I edit this video. I'll put this video up to YouTube. But as a bit quick short break as Chowsek tends to the bathroom. My goodness, 114 subscribers. I knew that me getting to 100 was the big milestone for the year, but to think that I would be a lot higher than that is actually quite insane. I honestly was not expecting the crazy boom of my channel right after. Granted, I know it's still only 40 subscribers up, but it still feels as though that ever since I hit 100, that more and more people have been taking notice of my channel. Now, granted, I'm not too sure it's because of the videos I've been making, because I know certain videos have been getting a lot more viewership, or whether it just be, well, people be taking notice of me and my Let's Plays, because I've been trying to diverse out and be more themey with my branding as a person with adrenaline. So that's why I've been doing more speedruns. And I honestly was quite surprised that I believe it was my Sonic Adventure 3 All Stages speedrun ended up getting a lot more views than I was expecting. I was honestly thinking that the game would not receive as... knowing that the game was not as affinitive to the main majority of audience compared to other games, I thought to myself, I'll just post it up. I probably won't have as much viewership. But then all of a sudden, I just see a lot of people come in. It's just like, hey, I see you speedrunning. Hello. And it's just like, oh, okay. I didn't think you would be interested in this kind of speedrun. So that's why it just felt very strange to see all that viewership. But then again, all I can say is just thank you to all whoever continues to subscribe and also continue to view my channel. I am actually changing a few things in terms of the schedule because I realized that my initial plan in September kind of fell through to an extent, and I realized that it kind of bottlenecked me when it came to posting of content. Well, I didn't honestly have much to do at the time when I was uploading the rest of Pokemon Unbound. I just uploaded the 4 episodes. The last 4 episodes that need to be uploaded are finally up on YouTube. Well, at least scheduled. So that's why it just felt very strange. But now, I hope to finally get started on the brand new content coming up in 2023 because, oh geez, I have a lot of stuff coming in. Let's just say that. And I actually left a hint to the new Let's Play in January in the last episode of AM2R. I know it's weird for me to say that when I have not even uploaded a single episode of it, but there is your notice. I also like how the music shot up after I said that. Anyways, your turn.
Alrighty, so yeah, last podcast I was talking about how there was an upcoming Splatfest, the first one for the main release of Splatoon 3, which that was what would you bring with you if you're going to a deserted island? Gear, grub, or fun? Interesting. But, so, to put it simply, Team Gear won. And, I have screenshots from the Splatoon wiki, but basically, well, at the halftime report, Team Fun was actually winning, by just like a tiny smidge. There were, actually, like, okay, I have to kind of go over how, okay, yeah, with the whole scoring for Splatfests has always kind of eluded me, but like I was actually digging into like, okay, how does this work? So, for the halftime report, the way that the current winner is calculated is by whichever team has the most clout. And the way that clout is earned is by participating in Splatfest open matches, and you get more if you win an open match, and if you're playing in the pro mode, you have to win a match in order to get clout. Pro is obviously kind of intended more for professional Splatoon players. Open is kind of meant for everyone. And yeah, clout is just like points that you just get some if you participate in the open matches, but you get more if you win in open matches. And Fun had 34.7% of all total clout. Excuse me. And Gear had 34.29, so Fun was just barely, like, holding on to the lead. But then Gear ended up winning overall because they had the most clout in open matches, and they were the popular vote with 58.28% of players siding with Team Gear. Only 20% of players went for Grub, and 21 went for Fun.
Oh.
And Fun did end up winning the total clout for pro matches, and also Fun one in the conch shells category, which is a new thing for Splatoon 3. So basically, in the lead up to a Splatfest, and also during a Splatfest, I believe it's if you... I forget what experience bar it is, because when you're in a Splatfest, you're leveling up your main character, well, just your character, rather, your catalog, that has its own experience bar, and then you have your Splatfest experience bar that are all going up at the same time. So I don't remember which bar it is, but when one of those fills up during a Splatfest or the lead up to a Splatfest, you earn a conch shell, which, for the scoring for the final Splatfest results, whichever team ends up collecting the most conch shells wins 10 points for their team. Conch shells gets you 10 points, votes gets you 10 points, clout for pro matches gets you 10 points, but clout for open matches gets you 15 points. But the conch shells, along with just being an additional thing for earning points, you can spend your conch shells on the shell out machine, which you can do to get like random rewards. Essentially, it's a gacha mechanic. And if you don't have conch shells, you can spend 5,000 money once per day to get a roll from that, and any subsequent roll that day, you have to pay 30,000 money. So that's all to say, Team Gear won with 25 points, Team Fun got second with 20, and Grub got nothing.
Yeah, I'm aware that a lot of salt has come out from that.
Yes. Okay, I did take a screen cap of this. So, people who were on Team Gear were very, very happy. I was on Team Gear. I was pretty like, okay, cool. But there was a lot of, salt coming from people, primarily on Twitter, about just not winning the Splatfest. Where it's like, first of all, only one team is gonna win the Splatfest, and there's 3 teams. So, statistically speaking, you're not guaranteed to win. Because even just looking at the teams, you have a 33.33333 repeating chance of
What's this, math class?
Winning. I mean, yeah, this is just a lot of numbers.
Yeah, admittedly, yeah.
Yeah. But like, a lot of people were upset just because of the fact that they didn't win. But like, okay, let's look at what exactly you get if you're on the winning team. So, if you participate enough in the Splatfest to get to, well, I think even if you just vote for the Splatfest, you get Super Sea Snails, which, to put it simply, is another type of currency that is used for building up your own specialized gear sets, because with the way that Splatoon works, the gear that you wear affects your stats. So, Super Sea Snails basically are a major help when it comes to building up your own specialized sets of gear. And let's say, hypothetically, you play enough to get to the ruler title, because once your Splatfest experience bar fills up, then you get a new bar that takes more playing to fill up, and every time you get a new bar up to ruler, you will get more sea snails for the amount of work that you put in. If you're on the winning team, and let's hypothetically say you get to the highest title of ruler, if you're on the winning team, you're only getting 3 more snails. First place gets 24 snails, second and third place gets 21. That's still a pretty good payout of snails. So, like, I don't see why people would be angry outside of just being prideful and having a big ego.
Oof. I mean, that understandably so, yeah.
Yeah.
The difference is so minute, but I mean, hell no, it's like one of those things where I feel like it's like, well, it's one of those cases where the difference is so minute that people make a mountains out of molehills.
Exactly.
And it feels like it's just them trying to just like rant on, like, maybe they feel as though the system is rigged.
Yeah.
Although, I need to ask your opinion. Do you feel like this system of Splatfest is a much better or worse compared to previous Splatfests? Because remember, back when Splatoon 1 came out, Splatfest was kind of like became a reverse popularity contest in due time when people realized that more pro players would choose the bad option just so they can win.
Yeah.
How does Splatoon 3 compare to Splatoon 1 and 2 in terms of Splatfest?
I actually didn't think about that, and it's been forever since Splatoon 2 Splatfests. So, again, I have the Splatoon wiki up, and even if we're just looking at, again, the payout of Super Sea Snails, exact same. Winning team gets 24, losing team gets 21. So, that's not changed.
So basically by just winning, they get 3 extra. That's just it.
Yeah, so even if you play a lot, you're gonna get a lot of snails. So,
how about third place in the Splatfest for Splatoon 3?
for Splatoon 3, second and third place get the same amount of snails.
Oh, for crying out loud! Then what's the point of people complaining about the 0 points for Team Grub? As I see Gel's text, exasperatingly using his hands.
Exactly. Like, people are just have way too big of egos that, like, they can't handle taking a loss.
Granted,
this isn't something new. I've noticed this in previous Splatfest in Splatoon 2.
Oof.
It's just exacerbated because more people are playing Splatoon 3 now that the Switch has been out for years, and it's like, oh, new Splatoon game, let's play this. And just more new people that are more inexperienced and are kind of getting frustrated because of the way that matchmaking works in Splatfests.
Oh.
It kind of prioritizes matching you up against... I'm pretty sure this is how it works. It prioritizes matching you up with a group of people that is not on your team. So because I was on Team Gear, the game was trying to prioritize matching me up against Team Grub or Team Fun.
With or against?
Against.
Oh, okay.
If for whatever reason the game can't find a group from an opposing team, it will match you up against people from your same team. It won't count towards the overall Splatfest totals, but I think you still get like experience and stuff with your main experience bar and all that. So, like, you're still getting something out of it, but it doesn't count towards the Splatfest results because that would be lopsided.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, Amit. Because the first thing I think of when I was looking at the question, whilst I was neutral at first, I think of the question further of what team it will be, Team Grub, Team Fun, or Team Gear. It's kind of like, I feel like this first question that they brought up is kind of a very weak question. when it comes to trying
Yes.
to split the vote. Like if you play,
Yes.
like, okay, this is gonna sound weird, but I'm gonna make this I'm gonna try and make this analogy. If they were playing Split the Room, they would be terrible doing it.
Yes.
Because honestly,
Yes.
that's almost like a non. It's almost like a question that almost needs no explanation for some. Like, if they think this very logically, gear is probably what they really want to survive.
And that's what I did when I was choosing my team, is that, like, gear feels like the correct answer, which means that this is kind of a bad Splatfest.
Exactly. There was a correct
topic.
answer in the question, which made it kind of a bad Splatfest.
Right. Which I think they're remedying with the Splatfest for this month, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that?
Well, all I can say is water, rain, water, rain, water, 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 rain, water, rain, water, water.
Yeah, basically, which Pokemon starter type do you prefer, grass, fire, or water? And it's like, okay, that is a good Splatfest topic, because there's not one objectively correct answer. It is subjective.
And in the intro to the Splatfest, this debate has been going on for 26 years.
It'll finally be decided through not a Pokemon game.
Yeah, exactly. False Type Quibi, screw your analysis. This is how we decide who's the best.
Yes, through a 4v4 team-based third-person shooter.
JK, FSG, I love you. Honestly, your content's fantastic.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like with the Splatfest that's coming up this month, which, let me pull up when exactly it's happening. November the 11th, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Makes sense. 1 week
So-
before the release of Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. I was trying to scramble for the mute button to not burp into the mic. But yeah, even though I feel like this is a definitely more subjective Splatfest topic, the Nintendo Life article announcing this Pokemon-themed Splatfest, I see someone in the reply saying, I have a feeling this Splatfest will be pretty one-sided, and it's like, do you really? Do you really?
A lot of people consider Charizard overrated at times, so this definitely will be interesting. Like, now here's the thing: if some people are going to think along the lines of overall, like all the 8 generations, technically 9, then it's a tough choice. Like, you have to think of all the starters I've gone through, their final evolutions, all that stuff, and think which was the overall best. And let's just say this right now, I don't think many people were appreciative of 3 firefighter starters in a row.
Right.
But at the same time,
Right.
water is just generic.
Yeah. 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 Now that I'm looking at the art that was made for this Splatfest, it's like, okay, maybe instead of just general grass, fire, and water, it does seem like they're kinda also trying to get at what is your starter gonna be. Because it has the silhouettes of the 3 different starters.
Which
I
is
don't know if that's...
which I assume is the base first 3?
They're the 3 starters of Scarlet and Violet,
Ah.
so...
Oh yeah, that one be interesting. Like, I know
Yeah.
of the 3 starters 100%. It's just that when it comes to like choosing between the 3, I actually have not chosen myself, honestly. I mean, I don't know. Do you feel Ducky? Do you feel Catty or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I yeah, I don't even know what exactly the fire type starter is supposed to be.
Dinosaur?
I
I
don't
don't
even
know.
remember.
Even I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. I really have no exact preference of one or the other, so I'm probably gonna choose just the. No, no. So in the demo, I picked Big Man's team because Big Man, but the first Splatfest of the full release of Splatoon 3, I chose Team Gear, which was technically Shiver's team. So I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll do Fire because that's gonna be Fry's team, but it's like, you don't really want to choose your Splatfest team based off of the idols, unless if that's the Splatfest topic, but that's not. So yeah, when you're choosing your team for the Splatfest, do not choose it based off of the idols. Just don't. Yeah.
I can't wait for the final Splatfest of Splatoon 3, where someone on Twitter is gonna complain, why in the world did you decide to put a 3T Splatfest? I've lost every single one! I feel like there's gonna be someone out there.
Yeah, it's gonna happen to some people, but it's like...
Some people? I feel like it's gonna be one person, honestly.
Yeah, it's just gonna happen, like... But again, circles back to what I was getting at before. You're only missing out each time on like 3 Super Sea Snails, which if you're playing to the ruler title, you're still getting a lot of snails.
Plus, I had to point out something. If you're not a competitive player, why are you so concerned about them?
Exactly.
I just realized that. Like, that's another thing to point out. If you're not competitive, why are you so worried about having best stats?
Exactly. Exactly.
Just play for fun,
Exactly.
damn it!
Yeah.
I actually didn't even think of that until this popped in my head. I was like, wait a second. Because as coming from someone who's played Pokemon Go for so long, I say so long when it's only 3 months. But back to my point, as someone who's played Pokemon Go for quite a while, and is not concerned about the leagues, the league system, because honestly, I'm not really as interested. I realized when I was looking at the stats, I'm just like, man, it's kind of vain for me to look at the stats, try and look for the best Pokemon, and not really do any competitive play.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, stats are not really everything, but it's just fun to have better stats. But that's where the F word comes in, fun. Also, that's very out of context.
Yeah.
But that's why I just realized I was like, yeah, that it's kind of strange that people would like complain about that much about it.
Yeah, but also at the same time, I've heard a lot of this just from Twitter, and Twitter, just especially over the past couple of years, with things like this, has just been like 90% salt. So it's mostly Twitter, but that's where a lot of Splatoon players is on Twitter, or also on various Discord servers, but I'm not on any of those servers because I don't play competitively. I don't really see myself getting into competitive Splatoon play, because it's like, yeah.
Well, in that case, why weren't you in #TeamFun?
Because
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just basing it purely off of the topic of I would rather bring gear with me to a deserted island because you can use gear to forage your own food and craft your own fun. So, yeah. Like I am looking into like improving my abilities in Splatoon, but ultimately I'm not gonna force myself to like start competitive play. It's with with that sort of game, it's not really my speed, and I know if I do start doing it, it's not gonna be fun for me anymore.
Yeah.
So, the only game that I'm even remotely competitive with is Mario Kart. That's historically a game that not many people are competitive with, but
Because technically it's not as competitive as it should be.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be more competitive Mario Kart.
How would
Because-
it? I mean, that would just be like Grand Prix racing at that, honestly, and Formula One does exist.
Yeah, and there are tournaments that happen like
No
just-
items, what I'm talking about, yeah.
Well, no, they use items.
Oh,
Yeah, because like experienced Mario Kart players know how to use items, so they keep items turned on.
use
So-
RNG, use bad RNG into their favor. I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
Wha-
like
oh boy, weaponized bad luck.
honestly, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just reminded about how Proton John was just like, I remember it's like he used his like a cursed dice block, and he actually rolled like the perfect number to help him out, and then Josh was, then Chuck was like, man, I didn't know you could use your bad luck to like for good things. It's like then John was just like, you know how long I've been trained to use my bad luck for good?
Yeah.
It takes a while, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, it's honestly, like, it can be strategic in Mario Kart to kind of hold yourself back a bit, get a more powerful item, and using just, like, good racing lines to get up to the front, and you keep that more powerful item. That's called item smuggling.
Yeah,
It's a thing some people do.
Mankalore
So-
knows a lot about that.
Yep.
The one thing I just also realized, yeah, you're kind of right. And you said racing line. The first thing I thought was, yeah, that's true. If you know the best way to drift around a corner with the most efficiency and less speed reduction, you pretty much can outclass the rest of the field even without items. It's just very
Yes.
difficult because drifting adds a whole different feature when it comes to trying to find the best racing line. Like, let's for those who don't understand, think of it as Formula 1 versus Mario Kart. Formula 1, you have no case of drifting. It's all about picking up your braking zone, turning at the correct time at the correct amount, like intensity, just so you can go through a corner with as much speed as possible without hitting the wall. Same story
Yes.
for Mario Kart. You try to get the best corner through drifting, such that you don't hit the grass or a wall, but you still maintain your speed, and of course you get as much speed as possible from the drift bonus, so that you can get through the corner quickly.
Yeah, it's exactly like what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's so much difficult, but that's why competitive. I can see why they consider it competitive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, fun fact. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I was about to say Splatoon 8 Deluxe.
Great job.
Yeah. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe actually has a LAN mode that you can access from the title screen by pressing LR and clicking the left stick. And so if you have multiple switches docked and all connected to Ethernet, I think you can do it either through a wireless router, regardless if it's connected to the larger internet or not, or I think you can also do it just plugged into an Ethernet switch, because then they're all connected through that. And so you can play multi-system Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Everyone has their own screen, and you have that nice stable Ethernet connection. So that's what a lot of more competitive in-person Mario Kart events do, is they can do a LAN mode.
Yeah.
But even if you don't have Ethernet connection, it still works if everyone is on the same Wi-Fi. So.
That's pretty good, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it's definitely set up to be used in competitive scenarios. It's just people consider it to be a casual game, but a lot of competitive play flies over a lot of people's heads, which is kind of surprising because once you look more and more into it, I feel like it's not as complex as something like Splatoon 3, but I don't know, that's just me.
I mean, it's like so many elements to be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like thinking of it in terms of a sports context.
Mm-hmm.
And I can already see that even with any sport, regardless of what sport you pick up, there's just so many elements that will give you that competitive edge. And it's the same for gaming. In so many ways, but just different ways at that.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people, like, the defining factor that I notice if someone knows what they're doing with Mario Kart or not, are they using their items almost all the time immediately when getting them? Because a lot of players who know what they're doing, they hold on to their items for opportune moments. So
yeah,
kind of knowing how to use different items and knowing the layouts of tracks, like you kind of have to have all those into consideration before you use items. That's one thing that I learned to do when I was trying to get better at Mario Kart back in the days of Mario Kart 7. So it's
getting better at Mario Kart. That's
yeah.
For some, that's like a fabled term, but that's actually quite true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten to the point where I can pretty well, like, once the new Booster Course Pass Grand Prix come out, I can pretty well play one of those cups in 150cc, and there's a 95% chance I get 3 stars on my first try. So, I've definitely grown as a Mario Kart player, and with my skills in Mario Kart to be able to do that. In fact, the first 24 hours that I had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I got 3 stars on all the 150cc Grand Prix Cups.
See, I can't do that because I'm bad at Mario Kart.
Yeah, it's something that just takes time. Yeah.
Like, no, because, like, remember that there is one Mario Kart game that I have 100% technically, and that is Mario Kart Arcade GP2. But that one requires a lot, it has a different, like, system in terms of, like, driving.
Right. Yeah, I found that if you are starting to get better at Mario Kart, there's almost this sort of weird, like, valley, if you think about it like a line graph, where, I don't even know how the camera is, positioned for this. I think this is...
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, this is the left side for what you guys are seeing. Like, this is the lower end of players who, like, they're more casual and they're not very experienced, but because they're more oftentimes farther back in the pack, the game gives them better items, and so they can still place somewhat well because they get those better items. And up here are the more experienced players that can adapt to basically any situation and really know what they're doing. Then you have this no man's land where it just sucks. Where you're trying to go from casual to very knowledgeable, but you just get kicked to the curb. And it is something that I've heard so many people talk about, and like I've experienced this myself, when you're trying to get better at Mario Kart, but the game doesn't want to let you. And it's just a case of a TLDR getting better. That's basically what it is that you're trying to like take all these bits and pieces of information that people have told you or that you found online and applying it to your gameplay, but just nothing is going your way, and it's this weird phenomenon where you're just getting hit by everything. But it gets to a point where like yes, that starts happening not as frequently over time once you learn more, apply more of that to your gameplay, and it gets to a point where you just don't experience that as much. So that's sort of my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I could see that being a thing, like, especially with any, like, game that you're trying to get better in, especially when it involves online. Like, that kind of frustration will definitely come to play now and then.
Yeah, and it's kind of wild if you're used to playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe offline, you have to rethink how you do some things and like how you approach items when you're playing online, because you have to account for item lag. It's just something you have to do. Like, even if it looks like you hit someone with red shell, very well, it's very likely that that didn't actually happen. So, yeah. It's a whole thing. Anyways. Oh, I guess, a sort of, like, I guess you could call it a PSA. I'm gonna copy this tweet and send it to you. Wait. Oh, hold on. I think... Oh, wait, no, I can't do that because then it's gonna kill my webcam.
Oops.
There we go.
I mean, you can do it on your phone. Meanwhile, I need to quickly do something.
Well, there you go. I sent it to you, so...
Yeah, I'll quickly watch first Facebook. I need something.
Okay. So, for Splatoon 3, if you use the Nintendo Switch Online mobile app, and you go into Splatnet 3, there is a QR code reader that you can use to scan various QR codes. And there's a regular event that takes place in Japan called Nintendo Live, and in celebration for this year's Nintendo Live, they have sent out this QR code that if you scan it will give you a special Nintendo Live 2022 splash tag background that you can only get by scanning this QR code. I sent the link to Joel. If I put it in chat,
It might kill it, yeah, it might kill it. So what's this tweet about again?
So, with Splatoon 3, if you have the Nintendo Switch Online mobile app, you can go into Splatoon 3, the Splatoon 3 section, and in there's a QR code reader that just over time, Nintendo is going to share QR codes that you can scan that will give you in-game items. And this QR code that I linked to you gives a special splash tag background that is in commemoration for this year's Nintendo Live 2022 event that is happening in Tokyo.
Ah.
And even though this is a Tokyo-only event, the QR code is not region locked. So if you have a European or American account or whatever, you can scan it and get that special splash tag, even though you don't have a Japanese account. Does not matter. They accounted for that. You can scan it and get the banner. So, fun little thing.
That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in summary, it's definitely a shame that Twitter kind of ruins certain games. And in this case, boy, a lot of people. I hope the next Splatfest will not be as friendship ruining, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think there's, like, taking into consideration previous Splatfests from Splatoon 2, there is still going to be some amount of salt, but I hope it's not as much as this first one.
Yeah, I share that same sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
If it happens again, I'm just not gonna look at anything Splatoon related on Twitter then, or Splatfest related.
You might want to like
Twitter.
take a break, just saying, if that happens again.
Yeah. Well, if I know I'm looking at something that is like controversial on Twitter, I already limit myself to how much I look at it on Twitter. So it's like I look at it enough to get the gist, and it's like, okay, Control W, close out of that tab. So, yeah.
Speaking of Nintendo, that just leads to the last thing we're going to talk about today. That's the common one. That is, of course, the latest Mario movie trailer. Oh dear.
Well, the first Mario movie trailer, because this is the first time we've gotten to see it.
Yeah, that is very true.
It's better. Overall, it was better than I was expecting, personally. I don't know about you.
I mean, I only got to see a bit of it. I haven't actually seen the whole trailer yet. Two things I'd like to point out.
Short.
Bowser definitely looks a lot weirder than I was expecting. Like something about the texture that didn't like click with me, honestly.
I can understand that. I think they were definitely wanting to like make him a bit more like reptilian. So
yeah,
I heard someone say on Twitter that they're kind of taking into consideration, like potentially taking into consideration how they're depicted in Smash Brothers, and taking little hints and cues from the character designs from Smash. But that's just one person's observation. Could be totally false. Bowser is a little bit more reptilian in Smash, so.
That is an interesting proposition on the more though. I mean, I haven't, as I said before, I haven't seen the whole thing because I've been quite busy myself. How about Mario itself? I mean, Mario definitely looks a lot better than I was expecting. If there's one thing that I'll say though, Chris Pratt said it himself that his Mario voice is unlike anything you ever heard. And honestly, I'm not too sure if that's for good or bad.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, we've only heard like 2 lines from him in the trailer, so like, little hard to judge.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be a case of we have to just wait until more Mario lines get put into more trailers. But I'm honestly considering just not watching any more trailers or coverage of the movie and just going into it with the knowledge from this teaser trailer. But I don't know how feasible it's gonna be.
Yeah.
So
It's not like me with Pokemon where I'm able to avoid it almost every time. Even then, I've been rarely on Twitter recently, especially with all the work I've been doing. Though, at least now recently, it's been a lot better because I'm able to, at least I'm able to have less work now.
that's good.
In fact, as I said that, I remember that I managed to spend one day literally editing all the videos, and there was one video I had to like literally look through the entire video again, which was like almost 2 hours long, just so I can timestamp them perfectly.
Oh, were you doing that with the previous podcast and doing the chapters?
That was like a few weeks like back. I'm talking about this week in particular. I think it was an Unbound episode where I'm for those wondering, my Max Rank Den guide will be out next week, and I did a very, very meticulous job timestamping every single den that I found.
Nice.
So that's why it's like I'm able to have more work on my hands, and I'm glad that's a good thing. Oh, what was it? I think Tom Fox mentioned himself that apparently there was a complete overhaul in terms of plot.
For the Mario movie?
Yeah, apparently. Like, he says something on the lines of, apparently Mario's no longer a something and now he's a something? Question mark? I might be wrong when I say that.
Yeah, I mean, in the teaser trailer, we do see Mario getting presumably shot out of a pipe, because he gets introduced by, like, getting slammed onto a mushroom, falling onto another mushroom, falling onto the ground, and he's like, where is this place? So it's like, this is very clearly his first time in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah, that's why, and let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, Nintendo allowed this.
Yeah.
So whatever plot they have made come up with, apparently all of Nintendo agreed. Or at least those who have been allowed to see it.
Yeah, it sounds like they're like still doing work on it, which it's like, yeah, that's understandable. It doesn't release until April 7th. So, yeah, they still have time to work on it. So, you know, things are still happening, but at this point, like, they have all of the plot details ironed out. It's just a matter of, at this point, doing all of the CG, like, finer details.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think there's just a few questions in my head. Firstly, what is going to be the plot overall?
Right.
Secondly, will Mario look a lot better? Will Mario look better animated compared to how Sonic was? Because for those wondering, remember Sonic was a big hit when it came out because how clean Sonic looked.
Yeah. Even though it's, I did see the Sonic movie in theaters when it released.
Same.
February of 2020. But yeah, I remember that being a good movie, like surprisingly good. So interesting to see how Mario movie turns out.
Hopefully it will not be a flop like the last one was, if you know what I mean.
Right. But with the live action movie that they did like in the 80s or whatever, I thought it was like the whole thing was just a whole big misinterpretation of a bunch of different details. I don't know. That's just been my understanding. I've never actually watched the movie myself, but the gist that I've gotten is that like the producers didn't fully understand the source material. So that's why it's in the state that it's in.
Yikes.
Yeah. But again, that's just my understanding and my interpretation, so like I haven't seen the movie. I should. With the Mario animated movie coming out next year, I should sit down and watch the live action.
That will look
interesting.
Yeah. You literally took the words out of my mouth, by the way. I was about to say the same thing, honestly, in this case. But we'll see what they will do.
Right.
I think, have we already seen Bowser and Mario? That's it?
Bowser, Mario, penguins, Magic Koopa, a toad.
Sorry. That's just a hilarious statement. Mario, Bowser, penguins.
Yeah, yeah. I mean the first
Which apparently
scene...
one of them is being played by the same person who played Cyborg in Teen Titans.
Oh,
Yeah, it's actually true.
huh. I did not know that.
Which, I mean, Cyborg, Teen Titans, definitely a big hit.
Yeah.
I could see that flying quite well.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the first scene is Bowser's army facing off against the penguins.
Yeah.
So that was definitely taken out of context from the actual movie, which is like, that's understandable. They don't want to reveal too much of the plot at this point, which is understandable. A lot of people are like, oh, show us more, and it's like, I'm almost of the camp of, please don't. Like, I've heard from a lot of people saying how more and more trailers are showing too much of the main movies. So, like, a lot of people just have gotten to the point where they don't watch the trailers. So that's why I'm kind of just like, okay, yeah, I don't want to watch any more trailers that come out for this movie, lest something like that happens. But, like, Nintendo is part of the whole production of this. They're not gonna let that slide. So, yeah.
So I was just in my head was thinking, like, how can Nintendo play to the audience more compared to, like, Sonic Hedgehog? Because here's the thing, Sonic Hedgehog 1 and 2 both shot up the list when it came to the revenue. How can Mario one-up them, quite literally?
Yeah, good question.
Like, what? What could
suppose
they?
just-
Oh, go ahead.
Just being faithful to the source material,
Yeah.
not forcefully inserting any, like, cringy pop culture references.
Oh.
Basically just staying in their lane, but doing a good
They
job.
better not touch his spaghetti.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of Nintendo kind of staying in their lane and doing a good job with it, which, like, they can do a pretty good job with that. So, yeah. That's my thoughts.
I mean, I'll assume that we'll be able to see the whole thing. But I'll say this right now, I mean, so far it looks quite cool, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I do want to see the second trailer, but maybe not the final one, just so I can see what the other characters look like, or if there's any more updates to the development. Because I'm not as convinced to watch it as I was with Sonic the Hedgehog when it first came out. The first trailer came out.
Right now, there's only one teaser trailer. The, like, little micro direct that happened. The only other stuff that was shown was just Chris Pratt and Jack Black talking about, just briefly, like, oh, this is such a good experience, like, or such a good opportunity or whatever, of, like, letting us do this, basically. And then Chris Melalondria, whatever his last name is, from Illumination, talking about, like, oh, it's been such an honor being able to work on this film in collaboration with Nintendo. Just basically that, and then the teaser trailer, and, like, that's it.
Yeah.
Really nothing else that's come out.
It's gonna take a lot more information than that just to see what they come up with. And how it plays with how it plays for others who see it. I'll be probably looking more onto Twitter and see what opinions come up.
Yeah.
Still though, that's gonna be interesting to see how they play, how they do. I'm just hoping that it doesn't like I mean, as much as I don't want it to like succeed as much as Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2, sorry bias. I do want to see at least be more successful than the first one that came out in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a feeling with um how much Nintendo is directly uh contributing and collaborating with Illumination with this film, like it's gonna be at the very least pretty good.
Yeah,
That's I'm pretty confident in saying that.
and so do we. So we are indeed.
Mm-hmm.